I've liked playing video games most of my life, first with Nintendo games and PC games, and then with PlayStation, though I still enjoy a variety of games across a variety of systems. But why is it that I love games? First, it's something I can share with others in co-op games, often with my mom but also with other friends. There's also active online communities such as PlayStation Access to enjoy, as well as stories that can rival or even surpass what you see in television and film. And then there's that sense of accomplishment you get from beating a challenge, or yes, from unlocking one of PlayStation's addictive features, trophies, particularly platinum trophies, which is why in this video you're going to hear me go over my 10 hardest platinum trophies. Number 10 starts us off with one of my favorite games, Crisis Core, a prequel game in the Final Fantasy VII compilation. You play as Zack Fair, and to prevent spoilers, I'll just say he's a great character.
I keep telling you, it's just a flower wagon!
One of the harder trophies is DMW Master, which relies on a slot mechanic constantly spinning in the back of the game to unlock. But the hardest was completing each of the 300 missions, the final of which can one-shot you if you don't prepare specifically for this fight. But in the end, this was one of the more forgiving platinums and only took me about 59 hours. Number 9 on the list is for Fall Guys, a multiplayer party royale game where you compete and co-op with others online. The hardest trophy on this list by far was Infallible, which requires winning 5 episodes in a row. I was able to unlock this by doing 5 rounds of Sweet Thieves, but since at the moment of this video that game's no longer available, people can instead unlock it by playing creative or casual rounds instead. Because this is a game I tend to play a little bit of every day, I have hundreds of hours on this game, but to unlock the platinum trophy, I would say it only takes about 100 hours. Number 8 on the list is Bloodborne, a gothic, Lovecraftian horror action game. The main plot is that you create a hunter, explore the world of Yharnam,
not a place you'd normally want to visit,
and fight things. Orphan of Kos was the hardest optional trophy from the download content, but the hardest for the platinum was one I also helped my mom get, which involves completing all of the Chalice dungeons, which are basically levels in the game where you fight really hard things a lot. Overall, and including 2 playthroughs in the tally, it took about 148 hours to platinum. Number 7 is The Witcher 3, a game where you play as Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter who completes quests, searches for his missing daughter, fights bandits, fights monsters, and plays Gwent.
What would you say to a little game of Gwent?
A card game responsible for a few of the harder trophies in this game, including one that involves winning and collecting every single card available in the game. The hardest trophy for me, though, was playing the game on Death March, where enemies have 80% more health, do 230% more damage, and you can't heal as easily. Overall, it took me 2 playthroughs and 377 hours to unlock. Number 6 is Resident Evil 4, a survival action horror game, where you play as Leon Kennedy as he searches for Ashley, the president's daughter, in Spain. And in typical Resident Evil fashion, you find out that there's something wrong with the villagers. Something very wrong with the villagers, as you find out they're basically zombified.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
But while completing the game and finding every little thing can be challenging, especially keeping Ashley safe, the hardest parts for me were the S rank and challenge runs, where you have to beat the game in different difficulty modes within different time limits without healing or with weapon limits. Overall, it took me about 79 hours to complete. Number 5 is another Resi game, Resident Evil Village. You play as Ethan Winters, who's searching for his infant daughter. I'm noticing a trend here with the searching. In a fairy tale-esque Eastern Europe setting. While the Mercenary minigame was the last trophy I got, and also earned a compliment from PlayStation Access's Rosie Caddick, the hardest trophy for me was playing on Village of Shadows difficulty, especially the Heisenberg fight, which is very difficult as none of your regular upgrades help you can't heal, and he can easily wipe out your health. But challenging as it all was, it was one of the quicker games to platinum at 66 hours. Game number 4 is Resident Evil 2. It's actually the first game that you play as Leon in. Here he's a rookie cop in zombie-infested Raccoon City. And in this game, he explores the police station as well as other areas in the city as he tries to figure out exactly what happened. You also play as Claire Redfield, who's searching for her brother, Chris. And while she has a couple different areas in her gameplay, she ends up at the police station too. The hardest trophies for me were again the S-rank runs where you have to finish within 3.5 hours, and the different challenge runs where you can't heal, can't open the item box, and have to take less than 14,000 steps. These trophies actually made me have to look up a map and use a guide so I'd know exactly where to go, where not to go, and how to not go over. Overall, the platinum took me about 76 hours to unlock. Number 3 changes it up a bit as the game is Stardew Valley, a typically chill indie game developed by one person, and generally it is a chill game. You have a little house that you fix up and decorate, a family, and a farm. This is mine. You also befriend villagers, go fishing, go mining, etc. And then you get to this little arcade game. A game with 15 levels that you not only have to beat, you also have to beat it without getting hit once. Which is hard. Very hard. I honestly wouldn't have been able to get it if the developer hadn't patched it so there's a roundabout way to exit out and save between levels. Because even with this change, it took a lot of perseverance before I finally beat that game. And altogether, it took about 295 hours to get the platinum. Number 2 on my list is Final Fantasy VII Remake, where you play as Cloud Strife. It's the remake of a game that looks like this, while it used to look more like that. In addition to Cloud, you play as his childhood friend Tifa, and as one villain puts it, a ragtag group of misfits whose introduction is...
Avalanche!
Local florist!
Lab rat dog.
The download content also introduces the character of Yuffie. For me, the hardest trophies were the different combat challenges, particularly top secrets, as it's a gauntlet battle where you fight 5 very hard summon bosses in a row, and if you die, you have to restart from the beginning of the gauntlet. And as you can see here, a successful run can take 24 minutes to do. Overall, it took me about 130 hours to platinum. Number 1 on my list is Sackboy: A Big Adventure. It's a platforming game with one killer trophy, String It Together, which is earned by completing the Rip Snorter trial. To earn this, you have to complete every individual trial as one continuous trial within 10 minutes with no checkpoints. If you get hit more than once, you have to start over. If you fall off, you also have to start over. It took me a couple of days trying to get it, and I only barely made it when I did. I have a video of the full trial that's about 12 minutes in length because you get these timers that take off time, and as you can see, I finished it with 6 seconds to spare. Because this was really the only trophy that gave me problems, it took about 44 hours to platinum. This brings me to number 0, a bonus entry for a platinum so hard I honestly didn't know if I'd get it. The game is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the sequel to Remake, where you play with an even larger cast of characters. And while the platinum requires you to do many unforgiving minigames and challenges, the hardest is number 55. Earning this entails beating every combat simulator challenge available, some of which are the hardest fights I've ever played in a game. especially because most fights are 5 to 10 round long battles that you have to start over from round 1 if you fail at any point. The Rulers of the Outer Worlds fight I actually had to look up a way to cheese because I just could not do it on my own. Luckily, with the final 10 round gauntlets, which a lot of people have had trouble with, I was able to do it on the first try, which was a huge relief because the time that it took to complete it was 50 minutes. Likewise, the very last one that I finished was also 25 minutes. But in the end, I did it, I got all of the little requests done, and I got the Platinum Trophy. It only took 297 hours. But hey, getting my 35th little digital collectible trophy, that makes it all worth it. Doesn't it? Doesn't it?